take your car analogy again, right? So imagine I'm a Honda, for example, right? So
Yeah.
on
Hello, Honda.
our again,
Hello, Honda.
yeah, hello, power brand.
Hello. Welcome back to the second episode of Daily with Fixcolab Behind the Scenes show. So, together with me again today is Hakim, our CDO. Genius but humble. We love him so much. And then, as usual, I'm your host, Leroy from Fixcolab. So, we both are from Fixcolab. I'm sure you guys look. If you guys land on this video first before watching the first episode, then yes, I have the obligation to reintroduce myself. All right. But then towards the 10th episode later on, we're not gonna tell you who we are anymore because I believe that you guys gonna watch it because we're doing something fun. Okay. So yeah, so we are from Fixcolab. We are a software development house that consults clients or businesses outside on how to go digital effectively. So we not only develop softwares, we do UI UX consultation, we do website development, and we do a little bit of something that aids a platform or software that can optimize it for digital marketing for the client. So that's what we do. All right. So today I have one very interesting question. A question that was asked by a lead a few weeks ago. This lead asked me, "Hey, is this Leroy from Fixcolab?" Yeah. Hey, yeah. So tell me what's going on. So this dude say, "Do you know any no coding platform?" And I was like, "No coding platform? What do you mean by no coding?" Yeah, I'm like, "No coding. I don't need to code." So what you gonna do with that if you don't need to code? Get a website. That sort of hit me. All right. And then I started to realize, not a few days after that call, had another lead asking the same thing. So it kind of like confuses me. Like, why would someone asking for a platform that doesn't require you to code inquire from a software development house? Isn't that weird? So yeah. So this particular no coding platform or no coding software kind of caught my attention for the past few weeks. And then yes, with our CTO here, I hope he can help us to understand better on what is this nonsense about no coding platform or something that you want to build a website without learning any code. So yeah, Hakim, what is this no coding platform or no coding software for you to build a software? What is this
Hmm.
actually?
If I were to put it in the simple word, uh, is no code or low code, no or low code uh, program
Mm,
or software is basically a software that allow you to achieve what that usually require a developer to to develop it. For example, like a website, right? By traditional means that you require a web developer to create a website for you and put it in your domain and hosting, right? And another example is a mobile app. For example, you require a mobile developer to actually develop the app and submit it through the Google Play Store and also Apple App Store. So
yeah.
that's the traditional sense, right? You require a
Mhm.
developer that know how to write codes to develop these particular things. And when we talk about no code or low code, it's referred to the software that allow common people. What I mean by common people is those who are have doesn't have uh, the skill to write codes by their
Uh-huh.
own. This software enable them to actually create their own website without writing a line of code or with like small number line of code. And this platform of software designed to have those that require to have a website, but not a particular not a particular requirement, for example, right? So no code or low code solution is good if you want to get started quickly and you don't want to invest on professional services like a developer, but you just want to get it done. So
Mm-hmm.
this is where the space where no code or low code solution coming in. They help those who doesn't have coding experience or writing a code to get started quickly just by using graphical user interface like drag and drop, click here, click there, and then boom, you can have a website, and then boom, you have a mobile app. And yeah, it's basically to help people to get into what they want quickly and easy without professional help in terms of like development or writing actual code, right? But at the same time, it doesn't mean that developer or programmer lost their job. Okay,
That's right.
so what happening here that low code and no code solution doesn't mean it's replacing professional services. What is help
Mm-hmm.
actually is help get things done, but not actually help get things right or get things proper like
Mm.
as you design. So because no code or low code solution, they are limited to what they can offer to you, and you are bound to their rules and their features, for example. So, for example, software that we can put in this category like low code or no code solution, we can look at WordPress. So for those who are familiar
Yeah.
with website, creating a website, even in our own company, we have a lot of clients that want to have a WordPress website. And WordPress is actually what we call no code or low code solution because you doesn't have to write a line of code in order to build your own website. But by
Right.
traditional mean, if you look like maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago, you need a developer to actually write the code for your website. But now, since we have WordPress, we not require. I mean, technically, you are not required to have a developer to develop it for you. But instead, you can go through and learn it by yourself, and you can build your website by your own, right? But at the same time, you are limited to what the capability of what WordPress can offer. So the limitation of WordPress become the limitation of the website that you want to build with no code solution. But in contrast, if you're getting a professional services for web development, for example, the I mean I won't say it's unlimited. It's just that you have you have much more flexibility in terms of like what features that you want to put in your website, or you want to have a
Mm-hmm.
customized form or something like there's a pop-up or animation or certain way of how it appear or animated. You have much more control, or but to say the developer has much more control to craft more customized, much more artisan looks, or much more that this is your website, not rather than because
Mm-hmm.
usually what happens in no code and local solution is they have a template. So usually you have either you have to follow the template or just to work around. I mean, you doesn't have the much control in terms of like the looks if you unless if you really have like development or programming skill or experience. If you doesn't have any kind of that experience, you are limited to what they offer, what kind of template or what kind of features that the platform or the solution offer. So that's what is no code and low code solution. And for those who are not familiar with it, if I were to name one, it's like I mentioned earlier, WordPress,
Yeah.
Bubble for app or mobile app. We also have Glide, for example, and we also have, let me think, uh, ah, Webflow, for example. So all of this is
Yeah.
what we call no code to low code solution. But it doesn't mean
Shopify.
yeah, Shopify as well that you doesn't have to hire people to actually develop a e-commerce store as well. So
Yeah.
this all this platform or services that offer you to get started to build your own website or to build your own e-commerce or to build your own application, but you are limited to their features and their capability. Yeah. So that's I think that's how I would sign up sum up what is no code or local solution.
Yeah. But talking about WordPress, I mean, we've
Mm.
been doing WordPress for quite some time, and
Right.
I would say WordPress is the basic of
Mm.
web development currently. Even though WordPress is a low coding
Mm.
platform or website builder,
Mm.
but we as an agency, we do offer that kind of service.
Mm.
And why
Mm.
is that? If it's really low code,
Mm.
we have a professional service on
Mm.
WordPress development. So is this really this low code platform? Is it really easy for us to learn
Mm.
in this case, which is WordPress?
Mm.
And yet we have so many agencies offering WordPress services.
Mm.
Or is it, yeah, is it easy for us to learn low code, or is it just um, a little bit too much,
Mm.
still a little bit too much for the normal or common people who doesn't have, the background in
Mm.
coding or something?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to answer your question, so I understand what we're coming or what we're trying to say is why do we see WordPress development services here and there if WordPress is low code or no code solution. The reason be right, it depends on the requirement. What are you looking for? So if what you're looking is a simple website that just a text and a picture, right? If you ask me, you don't require any provider service to help you out. Basically, if you sign up to WordPress or if you install WordPress on your server, you can just go to the first page, just put text there, just put picture, and you're done, right? That's
Yeah.
technically you have your website, but your website is look uh like in 1995 kind of website, right? And
Wait, do we have internet 1995?
we do have
We do, right?
we do
Oh,
have,
really?
and it's very very
Yeah.
like very slow light up modem.
The
Yeah,
jaring.net,
correct,
got
correct,
dialing
correct.
sound
The
to connect.
noise, correct. The dial upness, yeah. So well, I'm not saying that you cannot do a beautiful website using WordPress. Yes, you can, but it require you to actually require you to learn much more than typing uh, text and insert a picture. It requires you to understand how actually real code being developed or being
Mhm.
right. So what I mean by here is that yes, it's allow you to just okay. For example, if you are using WordPress and Elementor, right, you can drag
Yes.
things and you can arrange it accordingly according to what you see fit. But in the end of the day, in order for you to have much more better control into the how the website looks, you need to understand how actually to write an actual website. So you have to understand how HTML work, how CSS work, or how JavaScript works, right? If you cannot understand this, you most likely unable to customize your website as what you like. For example, if you want to have a pop-up, for example, and this pop-up has an animation, and then when this animation is finished, you want it to automatically download file to your user browser, for example. Yes, you can do. I mean, if you want, if you really look around, you can find a solution probably that already people have developed, and probably you can just copy and paste. But if it's something
Yeah.
that have not been done by anyone, most likely, even if you are using Elementor and WordPress, you still need to somehow figure out or understand. Okay, if I pull out a pop-up, what's actually happened behind the scene, so you can understand the process, and then you can figure out or troubleshoot how you can automatically play animation and then downloading the file.
Mm. So one that I see here, it's easier in
Mm.
terms of, I would say, if it's using themes and plugins, then meaning that we can cut down on how long it takes for us to develop a website, right?
Mm, 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 mm,
Then yeah, now agency use WordPress as a tool
mm.
for them to deliver good services.
All right.
And with this low code platform or software, we are getting what is limited to I mean, we are getting only what we can get, which is
Mm,
limited to that particular platform, right?
mm,
And you also mentioned earlier that those who go for low code platforms wants to get things done. Those who go for custom platforms, I mean, not custom platforms, I mean, custom development, want to get things right.
mm.
So people out there emphasize on getting things done instead of getting things right only?
Mm.
Or what do you think?
Yeah, I
What
mean,
what
again,
what makes
I
what
think,
makes WordPress quite a demand,
mm, mm,
even if they have to hire professional WordPress
mm, mm,
developers, and even if WordPress is limited to whatever WordPress can offer.
mm,
But
mm.
then I'm not gonna lie, like WordPress is I would say the number one website builder right now, right?
All right.
Yeah, but what makes it so useful, even though we are limited, or
Mm, mm.
yeah, get what I mean?
Yeah, okay. Because if you are talking about WordPress, one thing about WordPress is actually open source. The reason
Mm,
why it's so popular is because it's open source. And when I mentioned about it's open source, so that means anyone can go to their website and actually download the WordPress software itself and look into the code. And and when
mm.
people can look into the code, people can develop something that can compatible with this solution or software. So
Understood.
I think it's unfair for us to put WordPress as the pinnacle of no code local solution because they already have a long history as well, and as well it's open source. What I mean by open source is that anyone can go into it. So WordPress do offer commercial and non-commercial version. That's made a free version, right? So you can get WordPress for free. But if you want to have a WordPress with hosting and domain, you can also get it from WordPress.com. WordPress.com offer commercial services, and WordPress.org offer a WordPress source code that you can download and install on your server by yourself, right? So what happened is that first of all, because WordPress is no code or local solution, it's much easier for developer, for example, like even for us,
Yeah,
to offer a website with WordPress because later when we finish with the when we done with the website, when we finish crafting the website, when we sign over to our client, they can go to the WordPress admin and they can probably edit some of things that we already put there, right? But they
yeah,
are limited to what we are already crafting for that particular website, right?
that's
So
right.
why you make it really popular? First is because it's open source, so that means anyone can go there and download it for free. There's no charge, right? So
Mhm.
who doesn't like free things? So that's one of things that
That's right.
make it really popular. And second, it's very I would say it's very they are among the frontier. I would say frontier among the first no code or low code solution that being offered out there. And I think more than I'm not sure, probably already more than 10 years. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's more than 10 years somewhere in there. Because, yeah, I
Yeah,
believe it's more than 10 years.
not sure.
Since I was in the high school, it's already there. So it's probably, yeah, it's probably
Serious?
more than 10 years. I'm not sure. But
I
yeah, I
thought it
think
was. I thought
at
it
least
was
10 years.
a
Yeah,
blog post.
yeah, blog post. Okay. Now you mentioned about blog post, right? So what blog post is not open source. It's owned by
Okay.
Google, right? Is blog post
Right.
also a no code or local solution? Okay, I think remember back then it's a blog post and WordPress, right? So the
That's right.
reason why WordPress taking off is because it's open source and there's a community around it.
Mhm.
When there's a community of developer around it, they are much more developed. I mean, okay, oh, I can add these features and this developer A add this feature, developer B add this feature. It's and when we
Yeah.
have community, the ecosystem of WordPress getting bigger and bigger, and the functionality also increase and increase, right? So that's what happened
Mm.
into WordPress. That's why it's being so popular right now because it's open source and it's free for everyone to start using it. But on the other hand, blog post, what happened is that because it's proprietary software, so only
Yeah.
Google can modify. And if you want to, yes, you can develop plugin for it, but you're also limited to what Google allow you to do as well, right?
Yeah.
So even the team, you are limited to what team that are available. Yes, you can develop your own team, but then it's defeat the purpose of using no code and local solution, where you should not use or write a lot of code, right? If you
Mhm.
already create a team specifically blog. Wait, what is it? The name blogger, right?
Yeah.
And so if you have to write for a blogger, so it's not easy anymore. It's become cumbersome to actually. It's no code and low code solution. It's different of course. So what happened in blogger is that it's proprietary, and people there's not much support for developer to support it. What I mean by developer to support it, so I can also I can tell you I
Mhm.
can create you a blog using Blogger. You can pay me to set it up, right? But then once I set it up,
Yeah.
I cannot much customize it because I cannot see the source code. I cannot see the actual
Yeah.
source code behind it because it's owned by Google. So even if you ask me to customize it,
That's right.
I can't do that because uh, it's owned by Google, right? I cannot do that. But on the other hand, WordPress, oh, you want to put a capability? Yes, I can create a custom plugin for that. Yes, sure. Then it can be compatible with WordPress. And yeah, now WordPress has a new functionality that I already developed. So it's specifically for that functionality that my client asking. So that's what set them apart, and that's why WordPress become the dominant in the space at the moment.
Yeah. So you mentioned so there's two contradicting
Right.
side that I see here.
Mm,
WordPress is what it is, right?
mm,
And then we can custom plug in. I mean, we can
mm,
custom develop something that
mm,
suits WordPress. Like, and plus WordPress is open source.
mm,
Don't you think like when there's too many hands,
mm,
thing when there's too many hands involved in this
mm,
one thing, that particular thing
mm,
will break or fail. But how did
mm, mm,
WordPress manage not to like break down, or I don't know what's
mm,
the right term. Is it breakdown? Crash,
mm,
right?
mm, mm.
Crash. Breakdown is for human. Yeah, crash. How come
Yeah,
WordPress rarely crash, even though there's a lot of customized things that WordPress itself is not
mm,
offering, but we do have custom development, no,
mm,
custom developer for plugins, right?
mm, mm,
So
mm,
don't you
mm, mm,
think like if we there's too much customized thing, like we're
mm,
trying to customize a car for that,
mm, mm,
we're
mm,
trying to
mm,
change maybe the fuel injector,
mm.
right? I don't know if
Right.
anyone would actually change fuel injector, but yeah.
Mm,
Or
mm,
maybe we want to try to change some circuits in the ECU board, right?
mm, 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 mm.
And because there's so many custom thing in a particular vehicle,
Mm,
that vehicle is bound to have some problems we
mm,
not might foresee.
mm,
And
mm.
yeah, so that's the analogy towards the question that I have on WordPress.
Right.
Like there's so
Right.
many hands, it's open source,
Mm,
yet it's good and robust. How
mm.
did WordPress manage to do that?
Yeah. So, okay. Before I can answer your question, we need to understand how open source software works, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, how open source software work is that we're gonna have a one party or what we call a maintainer. Maintainer is the
Mm-hmm.
one that have the power to dictate what actually go to that code. Okay, and
Oh,
if we look at the biggest open source software out there is actually Linux, right? Linux operating
yeah.
system is actually the largest open source software out there. And on the top of the change of who have the word or say what code to be updated in the main source code that everyone can download is Linus Trevor, right? So this guy is the founder
Oh,
of Linux OS, and he have to say, or in this case, actually not him alone. Actually, there's a committee around it because it's so big. So there's committee around it
yeah.
actually dictate. People can submit, okay, I want to add this functionality to Linux. I want to add this functionality to WordPress. I want to add this capability. I want to add this. I want to add this. By the end of the day, it will be filtered. It will be filtered by all these committees
Mm-hmm.
that
they're going to review whether the code gonna break WordPress or not. If you're gonna break WordPress, your update or your customization will be uh, rejected. So that's the end of the day. Like you're gonna have this committee that going to maintain the software. And in this case, like in the WordPress, for example, right? So we have WordPress.org. So they are unprofit organization that are actually focusing on maintaining WordPress source code. And when you talk about customization, whether it's break, I mean, when we customize a WordPress website, right? Is how come it doesn't break? So if you are familiar with WordPress, they have this marketplace. So this marketplace and what happened that this marketplace also have some sort of like a filter, I would say, that see whether okay, let's say I develop a custom plugin for my client, right? So if I submit there, right, if I submit to the marketplace will review my code, whether it's gonna break WordPress, whether it's compatible with the current version of WordPress. If it is, then it's fine. If not, then I won't be able to put it out in the marketplace. But it doesn't mean that I cannot put it in my client website, because we can just upload locally plugin into the WordPress itself. So imagine, okay, take your car analogy again, right? So imagine I'm a Honda, for example, right? So on
Hello, Honda.
our again,
Hello, Honda.
yeah, hello, power. So we look at a Honda, right? So we look at Honda. Okay, I have this blueprint, Honda Civic, for example. I have this blueprint of Honda Civic. So this are equivalent to the source code, source code that I maintain. So this is Honda Civic, and then but then once this Honda Civic is belong to other person, they can do whatever they want, right? They can do whatever they want. They can customize. They can put a spoil, bumper here and there. You can put tinted glasses or whatever. It's up to them. And as long as they do things right, Honda Civic won't break down unless they try to put V8. I don't know, double twin V8 for example. I'm not sure whether it's possible or not. Most likely won't work. Then that's again that's a similar thing what happened to WordPress, that you can download the blueprint, the vanilla version, but then when you download and you install in your website, it's up to you. You can customize to your heart, right? You can either get people to develop a custom plugin for it, right? Like custom pin for my Honda Civic, for example, or I can go to the marketplace, just find what is already being verified that's actually compatible with my current version of WordPress. So that's how why it doesn't really crash. I mean, unless if you probably professional WordPress developer would say to you that if you install too many plugins, you bound to crash. So the more and more customization that you put on on your WordPress, on your website, or even on your car, if like too much you customize, is the tendency to crash is getting higher and higher and higher. You just cannot avoid that. That's basically the nature, because you try to create by your own, right?
That's right. I like it when you said you want to put a V8 in your Honda. So that's like okay, like imagine we have Mercedes, right? And then we have AMG, right? Or which gives the sporty performance and whatnot. And then we have Brabus, which modifies the engine capacity and all, changes V8 to V12, you know. So are we Fixcolab Brabus or AMG?
No, I mean, on our case, again, it depends on the client requirement, right? So if they require really, if they just want to get a website, right? If they just want to get a website, we can still use WordPress, right? We can still offer them, okay, this is WordPress, we build the customization of the theme and everything. Your website is, this okay. As long as they don't require something, okay, I want this website to have a login page and people can download and update their picture and make it like Facebook, for example, if we want to have something like Facebook, it's hard to do it with WordPress. We can,
Yeah, of
but
course.
I won't recommend it because WordPress is not designed to be like a Facebook, for example, right? If they want
Yeah.
something like Facebook, we need to build it from scratch, or we can use other framework that available that focusing on social media, for example. So on our case, probably on the AMG side, I would say that if the client require vanilla version or just a some sort of like simple customization, we can go by with WordPress, but they find things that much more advanced, much more particular, much more, they have specific features that they want to implement and it's not available for WordPress, then we have to develop it from scratch for the client.
So that's when we repurpose.
Correct.
Nice. So yeah, so these low code platforms like WordPress, or you mentioned just now for apps, right? Babel, right? Is it called Babel?
Mm.
Babel,
Bubble.
Babel, Babel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what other than it's being easy and whatnot.
Mm.
So
Mm.
like, how did this low code change the market
Mm.
or change the life? The society, the way we live now.
Mm.
So how, for example, maybe you can take. I'm not sure. You should you do know the more there's more low code platforms other than WordPress out there, but yeah,
Mm.
how does this low code platforms change the market, and what advantage and disadvantage is going to bring in the future? You have more and more these kind of platforms.
Mm. Yeah, I think there's a place for okay. If you look at this, that this platform, what they help is the space that they fill in is actually the space where you want to get things done, right? You just want to get things done. And for example, right, if let's say you are in a company, right? So let's say in a company that you want to have something that okay, let's say you have data entry, a lot of data entry, right? So uh, traditionally you need to put in Excel, for example, right? So you need to fill line by line in Excel. But a platform like Glide, for example, Glide is like a mobile app, low code and no code mobile app platform that you can develop mobile app or only using Google Sheet. Okay, using Google Sheet. And
Oh,
what
serious?
happened is, yeah, you can actually create basically the platform allow you to create
What?
a mobile app using a Google Sheet, right? So what happened is that it's allow you to actually design an app that utilitarian. That means that it does its job, but it won't be as
Mhm.
polished as professional service development, for example. So if it's just the app, okay, you want the app to just have a form that you will send to everyone to fill in instead of you have to send the Excel to one by one and by one to send over, right? So this is the idea that is that this platform is just fill in if you want to get things done on certain way, right? Only within the capability of the platform. So if you want to get things done within the capability of the platform, for example, Glide or WordPress, that's where they fit, right? But if you want to want to have a much more polished, customized, much more artisan services, you have to get professional services to help you out in that case. Yeah. So in the future, I would say both of these niche or market will exist side by side because like we see in WordPress, right? In the end of the day, this platform going to be very advanced, right? Their capability will be extend as time goes, right? So, but when they become more advanced, they become more complex, and when they become more complex, it requires a learning curve. So when it requires a learning curve, yes, you can get started really easy, but then if you want to get certain features and capability, you will have to go through this learning curve. And because certain people don't want to go through that. That's where all these WordPress developer and WordPress designer come in. They already understand how the WordPress works, and they know how to get to that higher level of advanced features and advanced capability. And yeah, that's where we get that. Even though if you are not, even though the developer doesn't write a code, they still need to something like configure, arrange, or put into sequence. All of this is required the fundamental that actually is similar to uh, writing a code. But instead of writing a code, you just drag and drop, position it, sequence it, like if else, for example, in programming we have if else, right? So if you are not familiar with the concept of if else, you probably won't be able to understand how to make things appear. Sometimes it's appear, sometimes it's not appear. If I'm logging in, it's disappear. If I'm not logging in, it's not appear. So in the end of the day, when the platform become much more advanced, they will go to the basic concept of programming modes, or the concept of like if else, but it will be in the form of graphical user interface rather than line code. So yeah, so the early stage of no code or low code solution is pretty much limited, but it's easy to learn, right? To understand and to learn. But as it's being matured, like we see in WordPress, there's a community around it. There's a lot more capability. There's a lot of things to learn at the same time. And if you are not familiar with software development concept like database relationship, like CRUD, like create, read, update, delete concept, you most likely won't be able to craft the WordPress into much more customized. You will need someone that understands this, and people that understand this is those guys that actually can write code. So in the end of the day, I can see both market will exist side by side, and it's only depend on what actually you are looking for. Are you looking for customization and like really crafting for every detail, for every pixel? Probably it's better for you to get a professional services. If you just want to get things done, it doesn't really particular on what kind looks of it, as long as it display your information, or if can, people can fill form in your website. You can probably learn by yourself. You can spend time like a week to learn about WordPress, and then probably you can do create your own website. But again, you limited to the knowledge that you understand, right? Yeah.
That's right. Interesting. And yeah, so you mentioned just now that we have this low code as a tool for developers, professional developers. And at the same time, professional developers will be developing a more sophisticated or complex system that we cannot get from these low code tools. So let's say in the future, these mobile apps, low code platform boom, just like WordPress. So what are we gonna build then? That's custom. So what do you think is after mobile apps? Like I encountered this, like with my little cousins. When I talk about website, they don't understand what is a website. But when I say apps, oh, okay. They know apps, but they don't know websites. The new generations. So in the future, I mean, when this younger generation, when my little cousin will be our age, around 20 something, talking to another 4-year-old kid, you know this app? No, I don't know what this app. So what do you think is going to be the next thing?
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure for 100% what is going to be the next thing after apps, right? But looking at the current trend, in this, like in the world, like the few things that I can think of right in the moment is something like a VR experience, right? So VR experience or VR world. Probably you have seen the movie Ready Player One, right?
Yeah.
Ready Player One, right? So probably we won't call app. Probably we will call world or maybe room. All right. That you go to
Oh,
this room, you can do certain thing. You go to this world, you can do certain thing. You can be something. You can become a dragon, or maybe you can become a warrior, or maybe you can become a hero.
yeah.
So this is one of the future that I foresee that could be happening. So probably in the future, I don't know, maybe my grandchildren or yeah, I'm not sure whether they are still alive or not, but it could be they don't even understand what is app. Probably we will see app as like this that things that granted that is is
Yeah.
is not something that you have to install. It's things for granted. And what they need to install is, oh, I want to have a new world where I can become dragon. So I install it. So I'm not sure. Probably the terms probably world or something like that. But
Yeah.
if we are looking into how our digital uh, social media, I
Advanced.
would say, so that is going to be. It's like more like something that technology that gonna bring us to higher level, right? So now we rely on apps. I'm not sure maybe in the future we're gonna I'm gonna go to this world. I can become a dragon. I can become a knight. I can become a Superman or Iron Man, for example.
So what's the best low coding or no coding platform for mobile apps now?
Um, I'm not sure if I would say it's the best, but I think the prominent that we can see right now is something like Glide, okay, Glide and
Hmm.
Bubble. So these two are, as far as I know, is uh, within my radar, and as pretty
Hmm.
much is a very powerful tool as well. As long as you don't looking
Ah,
into something powerful, something, oh, I want to create my own Apple Music. Okay, this platform is out. It's not. This platform is not for you to build something like Spotify or something like that. It's not for something if you want to build something like uh, Facebook. So you have to set your expectation right. So when we are talking about local and no-code solution, pretty much what they cover, their capability is more focusing on fundamental, all the basic. All the basic, all these local solution can you can use local and local solution to work to build something like that. But if you look for much more things that advanced like Spotify or Twitter, that one in the end of the day we still need a actual professional service to help you build that.
yeah. And talking about this, right? Uh, I mean, yeah, I also know how to develop a WordPress website, even though I have no background in programming.
Mm,
So I was a mechanical major. I was majoring in mechanical for aerospace engineering.
mm,
But because of these low code platforms or software, my career changed
mm,
from so I was a drone engineer and it changed to a website developer, which is now I'm already in this industry or already in this field for a year plus, right? Got me thinking like, so this kind of platforms, low coding or no coding, um, we are starting to see a number of people who has no background in coding became programmers. So is this a good thing? Or like we Malaysians we have this stigma aku kerja
mm,
luar bidang aku lari bidang
mm, mm, mm,
apa semua. It sounds like it's not a good thing, you know,
mm,
when people stigmatize it like that. But the
mm,
fact is, it's happening,
mm,
right? So does this low code, no code platforms will create a lot more qualified or high quality developers when
mm,
we have quite a number of those who have no background becoming
mm,
developers because of these low code
mm,
platforms.
mm, 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 mm.
So will it affect the quality of overall coders?
Mm, mm. Okay, if you are looking into what you're saying is correct. The trend of like a lot of people get into tech, even though they doesn't have tech background, which is that's correct because frankly speaking, the tech industry are booming, and People are using computer every day, every single second. Everyone are using computer, and when we are talking, when people have computer, they need a software to run on it. They need app. They need a website to look into, and the number is doesn't decreasing. The number is increasing, and the appetite for it, as we foresee, is keep getting bigger and bigger. And I believe we only, I'm not sure, probably just 1 billion or probably 2 billion people that actually have a good, not good, I would say, a full experience with computerized like app and software. And if we're looking at the number, we still have like 5 to 6 billion people that have not yet experienced the full computerized experience, right? So the market
Yeah.
is still big and there's a lot of opportunity. So that's why you see when we see about this trend is it's just what it, from my point of view, is like it doesn't matter what the stigma is all about, but what matter is where the demand is, right? So there's no point that you're following things that there's no demand. I mean, yes, if you really like it, it's up to you. You can go for it. But if you are really looking into something that has much more opportunity, tax is always getting bigger and bigger. There's always a lot of opportunity to get. So that's the reason why we see a lot of trend. And this trend is not just a Malaysia, it's actually a global thing. It's global trend. And because tech company are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And also, if you look into the industrial revolution, right? Industrial revolution 4.0, a lot of things is being computerized, right? Everything can be automated.
That's
So
right.
either you like it or not, computer and tech is the future. And if you are unable to catching up, it doesn't matter if you, even if you're accountant or even if you're fashion designer, in the end of the day, computer will come to your field. And most
Yeah.
of the field is already feeling this right now in manufacturing, in things that actually have a lot of repetitive tasks, that really mundane tasks, computer are coming to you. So whether you like it or not, either you are getting familiar with uh, tech or you being left out. So I think it's okay to follow trend. There's no problem with it as long as you're happy to do that, right? And this I think the last part of your question is about what is it about it? Uh,
Quality.
yeah, the quality of coder, right? So whether this is going to affect the quality of coder, I'm not really sure. Don't see any correlation whether this is going to actually give us much more quality coder, uh, because I think in the end of the day, the quality of the coder is not depend on the number of people in tech. It's actually more on the I think it's more on the how the community is working. So what I mean here is that if the community is really emphasizing a good quality code, there will be people that are going to follow through that. So it's, I think over here what I'm trying to say is that if we have a strong community that try to push a good quality code, and so that people can inspire to actually code to become a high quality a coder, for example, right? But again, if you are talking about high quality coder, I also doesn't have the correct definition for it, because
Yeah.
it's depend on how you look at it, right? So it's really subjective saying, okay, this guy is a good coder or this is a bad coder, because in the end of the day, uh, programmer or software engineer, we are solving problem, right? So as long we can solve the problem, it doesn't really matter whether it's bad or good. I mean, yes, sometimes it's better, but in majority of sense, like as long the problem is solved,
Yeah.
whether using a website or using an app, the you fulfill your job.
Do you think because we have something so easy that this easy thing would limit our creativity or stop the innovation of something new?
Mm,
What do you
mm,
think?
mm,
Will it
If,
kills the innovation?
Means if you are looking, if you look at the local solution as a tool, So okay, I put it this way. If I give you hammer, will it limit your creativity?
Mhm.
If okay,
If
if
I'm
I
dumb, I
give
can be
you
doing a lot of things with it.
correct. If okay, no, I think that's different. If I give you what we call that uh what a saw, right?
A knife.
If I give you a saw and a chainsaw, would it affect your creativity?
Okay.
So it's the same. That's the same situation. Is either it's manual or make it
Mhm.
or it become much more easier to do it. I don't see much on that it's gonna affect on your creativity. What I would say is it will shift uh, uh, uh your creativity box. What I mean, like, okay, from if I only get a saw, so it requires a lot of time for me to cut things, right? So I will be much more thinking if I only have 1 hour,
Yeah.
so I really focus on things that is much more critical. So I won't be focusing on aesthetic. But if I have chainsaw and I only have 1 hour,
Yeah.
I probably have more time to cut things much more faster because I can cut things much faster, and probably I can uh, spend more time on the aesthetic, right? So it's just I
Yeah.
think the creativity is still there. It's just the box of creativity or the boundary cover area of the creativity is trying to be shifted to different things.
Hmm. Makes sense. Yeah. I like it. Shifting the creativity.
Yeah,
It's not limiting, but we're shifting it.
yeah, correct.
So it could be creativity with with this tool.
Hmm.
You can spend more time on the visual creativity things,
Correct,
and
correct.
then with limited tools or something hard, we
Hmm.
get creative in solving.
Hmm.
But which one is more important? Is it being creative on the aesthetics or creativity in solving problems?
Yeah, I think in the end of the day, it's depend on what you want, what your requirement,
Yeah.
what you want to achieve. So you need to assess your requirement and then you look for the tools that you want to use. So we are it's better okay we don't think from what tools that we want to use, but instead we okay what we want to do, and then we proceed to okay what we can use,
Mhm.
and then you can get your result. So that's how I think that's how we should see things, not start from the tools, but start from the problem itself. So in case requirement or the problem itself, so what you want to
That's
solve
right.
or what you want to do, and then you find a way how you can solve it. So either I'm using this tool or I'm using WordPress, or whether my requirement is actually can be done with WordPress or not, or if it cannot, then I need to get professional services.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's how we should we should start from the problem first before we go to selecting which one is better, because depend on what requirement or depend on what the problem, the tools going to be different. What the best is going to be different.
Yeah. Thank you. I like it. I'm starting to understand a little bit better
Hmm.
from a perspective of someone who has been doing codings for how many years,
Hmm.
and from me who's not really involved in, doesn't have a solid background. I just know WordPress and Elementor. That's it.
Hmm.
Yeah. So it's a lot more about how do we view things.
Hmm.
I like it, especially when you said shifting the creativity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one hell of a way to frame it.
All right.
Yeah. So I think it's all good.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have any more questions. Hakim, do you have any? I don't know, anything you want to tell
Yeah, I think
regarding
to
this?
sum up, I think to
Mhm.
sum up what we discussed today is that yeah, no code and low code solution is a tool.
Yeah.
But it not limiting. Okay, again, it's not limiting your. It's okay. Probably I should rephrase that. Okay, is low code and no code solution is just tools, and it's giving you more option of what you want to do. Okay, for your requirement, when you look at your requirement, okay, what do you want to achieve, what do you want to do, and then now beside just a traditional sense that you have to hire professional to do it, now you have another option, which is no code and local solution. So it's basically just adding more option for you to choose from, and you have to look at your requirement properly, whether you should go with the professional services to create your website per se, or you can use WordPress, something like that, to create your website. Yeah. So don't look at it as a yeah, like for like a developer, it's not like going to catch your going to take away your job. It's more like the tools at your disposal that you can actually use to actually help you out. Actually, even for developer, no code and local solution actually helping have to quickly prototyping, quickly to showcase that this is what we're gonna build, or this is kind of functionality that you can build using or like quickly prototyping things really fast without us to actually go and code things from scratch. So it can set up us save time as well. So yeah, that's I think will be my last word on this session.
Yeah. All right. So guys, remember what Hakim said. Don't look at the tools. Look at your problem. Then you figure out what tools you want to use.
All right.
So that was a brilliant one. I like it. You shifted the way I view. But the main thing here that we want to take away is look at the problem and figure out what tool we need to use to solve the problem. All right, guys. So yeah, this is our proper goodbye for tonight. Thank you for sticking with us until the end of the video, and forgive us if we talk a little bit too much techie stuff that you might not understand. But anyway, you can always reach out to us in the comments, subscribe us, like our video, go over to our accounts on Instagram, Facebook. You can search me at, I don't know if the editor is gonna put my name down here and Hakim's name somewhere here. But yeah. So yeah. All right, that's it. Thank you guys. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.